The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God 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 is shining in me now.
The peace of God is shining in me now. This very moment. And that is something to celebrate. And that is what we are doing here all week long. We are celebrating the fact that the peace of God is shining in me right now. Not one day, not hopefully at some point after I've read more books or attended more online workshops. I usually say attended more workshops or gone to more conferences, but these days it's more online like this. You're not going to get this or realize that the peace of God is shining in you right now by attending more Zoom meetings at Namaste Village. It's going to happen right now in this moment, if that's what you really want. It's the desire for only one experience, to know at the deepest part of your being that you are holy and whole. And then, of course, the willingness to share that, to see that everywhere. Yesterday, you all had a homework assignment, which is to spend time every day, yesterday especially, just looking out, even in your mind, even if you were home and unable to go out, even in your mind, you could turn on the news, you could just think of whoever comes into your mind, or go for a walk or go for a drive. And every person you see or think about, just look at them and say the words, the holy, perfect child of God. Everyone you see, everyone you meet, the holy, perfect child of God, and to notice what begins to rise within you, what begins to step forward within you. Would it not be that same experience, the holy, perfect child of God within you, stepping forth, waking up, opening his eyes just like you would in the morning, and realizing that that dream that you've been so engaged in just moments before has finally ended, and now you can truly see who and where you are, where you've always been, who you've always been, and whose you've always been. You know, I want to tell you a little story about another person who had a very similar experience, because she chose to see everyone that she met as the holy, perfect child of God. And that was a woman named Catherine of Genoa, who lived in the 1500s. She is a saint, Saint Catherine of Genoa, and she spent her time and energy working with the poorest of the poor, those who were sick, those who had nothing, and she gave everything to them because she chose to see each one of them as the holy, perfect child of God. And she began to undergo an experience wholly unlike anything that she had ever known before, something that she had no reference point for. And because she had no reference point for it, she would literally run through the streets screaming these words, "The deepest me is God. The deepest me is God." She'd run through the streets of Genoa screaming this because she was engaged in an experience where she knew and felt and understood what has always been known, felt, and understood by God, that you are one, that you are whole and holy. that this is your natural being. And it happened because she was willing to see this, in her case, in the poorest of the poor, that we're called to do the same thing and to realize that the deepest you is also God. And to celebrate that and to let that light shine. Maybe not run through the streets screaming it, but maybe you'll do that as well. We don't know how we're going to react to this light. All we know is that we need to respond to this light by giving everything to this light, by wanting only this light. The single desire. That's something we talk about a lot here. You have to want this not just more than anything else, but let this be the only thing that you want, the single desire. To be so engrossed and engaged in this experience that you realize that the deepest you is God. Literally, not in some figurative sense. It's the truth. Catherine of Genoa was experiencing a great and holy truth that had awakened in her soul because she was willing to look at everyone that she saw, including and especially the poorest of the poor, and to say to them, "You are the holy, perfect child of God, right here, right now. You are shining in the reflection of God's love. In you is creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In you is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. You are the holy home of love itself." So now the question is simply, will we choose to be so engaged and give everything to that same vision? And in doing so, to know that the deepest me is God, that we are one, that there's nothing that could ever change or interrupt that oneness. So I'm going to encourage you to continue this experiment, this revival. A revival is an awakening. When you are revived, you come awake again. And that is what we are experiencing and seeking here this week, to come alive and to celebrate this grace. And the way that we celebrate it and know it to be true, the way that we know that the deepest me is God, is by giving it away, by being the source of that same light. It's so simple. We just have to do it. So I hope that you were able to do that yesterday. Hit your at least 100 people, because what you're going to find is once you get going, you're going to lose track and you're not going to want to stop. And that's good, because that just means that the experience is beginning to take hold. So let's continue this week, and we will see where it takes us together individually, as a whole, as one. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vicky and let her share her love and her light and see where this takes her today. So good morning, Vicky.
Good morning, James Francis.
Yeah, turn your mic on.
Whoops, did I turn this on? Yeah, we're on.
Okay.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. And I love these games. And we got everyone on the 2:00 SIH call, Step into Heaven call. They're all on board. And because all of this, whether it was the Ho'oponopono that Jean-Pierre shared, I see you, I welcome you, I rejoice, I love you, is about acceptance. And it's about limitlessness. It's about seeing it exclusively anywhere. But yesterday, especially, Teddy had on the news. So as I'm watching the news, it is also taking a stand against anything that isn't in favor. It's the reset button. No, this is the holy, perfect child of God. No, stand against any image or judgment or thinking about anything. And an affirmation again of acceptance. No, I am this brother, this one before me, the holy, perfect child of God. How much fun is it becoming? And it does eliminate distracted thinking of going on an unconscious tangent. And that's probably the most helpful thing. Just like centering prayer, it keeps your focus on what you desire. I desire to be in the love of God I have to desire it at every second with everything.
Uh-oh, Vicky has frozen. We'll see if she comes back here in a moment because she's on a roll. We don't want to stop Vicky when she's on a roll. We're going to have to call her talks the car talks because she usually finds herself in a car, she and Teddy running errands, and then they pull over somewhere. So dedicated. I love the fact that they could be in the midst of all of their errands and just stop and join and share. Oh, is she back? Oh, I think she had to leave, but I know that Lisa is here. So Lisa, why don't you go ahead and pick it up and we'll come back to Vicky when she and Teddy return. I think I saw Lisa earlier. You here, Lisa Natoli?
You're muted, Lisa.
Vic is back.
Are you back, Vicky?
Oh, she said she was back. I guess not. Yeah, I love this idea. I'm just going to pick up what Vicky just said. Let me just get her on FaceTime again, maybe. Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, you're, let's see. Oh, she's paused.
I have one little quote that Jimmy's gonna love that I'd like to read.
Okay, please. We can hear you.
All right, Jimmy, this is for you, honey. I found this morning. And we're talking about the inclusiveness. That's what makes this so simple. Nothing's excluded. We only have to take a stand wherever we would want to exclude or have a pause or have a sigh or have anything that isn't just genuinely love extending forth. So this is a quote for you, Jimmy. Christ waits for your acceptance of him as yourself and of his wholeness as yours.
Mm.
For Christ is the Son of God who lives in his Creator and shines with his glory. Christ is the extension of the love and the loveliness of God, as perfect as his Creator and at peace with him. That's for you, honey, your favorite quote. One of your favorites.
That is one of them, the extension of the love and the loveliness of God. If we can just choose to see that everywhere, to know that everyone in every moment is, no matter what, get those three words in there, the perfect holy extension of the love and the loveliness of God. Wow.
Yeah.
That just takes me. Thanks for reading that, Vicky.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on what Vic just said on taking a stand. I think that's one of the most important things, because it's not that once you choose to see the holiness in everyone and everything and blessing everyone and everything, that there won't be difficulties, but that you've made your decision. You've taken a stand, and so there's nothing that can disturb you now. And that's, lesson 98 in the workbook lessons. And that's what this week is all about, is celebration and revival. Like you said, James, is that it's about coming alive. And it says, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. Today is a day of special dedication. We take a stand on but one side today. We side with truth and let illusions go. We will not vacillate between the two, but take a firm position with the one. We dedicate ourselves to truth today and to salvation as God planned it be. We will not argue it as something else. We will not seek for it where it is not. In gladness, we accept it as it is and take the part assigned to us by God. And, it says elsewhere, the part assigned to us by God is to be happy and to know ourselves, like, just you both have said, is to accept ourselves as we were created, as a changeless, eternal self that calls itself Christ in A Course in Miracles. So I also have Teddy's on the phone here too. Ted, if you want to say something.
I don't know, it's a little strange the way it is. So it made me laugh when you started talking about Catherine of Genoa, because part of my Italian family is Genoese, and the Genoese it's like they say, you know, hey, he's Genoese, meaning they're very stubborn and have hard heads.
Mm.
That works.
Which is really sort of funny. But you know, we teach what we need to learn.
Yeah.
So the ability to bless our brothers in that way is how we remember that we are blessed. You know, as you bless, so are you blessed. And that's how the peace of God within us grows through the sharing and the extension, just as that's how God grows himself through his sharing himself with us as himself sharing. So giving and receiving are one in truth in that matter. And when we bless others, we're actually blessing ourselves and remembering who we are. Now, at a certain point in time, when it becomes sort of total enough in our own mind, the experience cannot not follow.
Mhm.
And that's just how this occurs. In the experience, you know the totality of what's being said and the recognition of all brothers being one and all brothers being blessed. So in blessing, we are blessed. In sharing the peace of God and recognizing our brothers, we're recognizing our true self too. And that's how we give up the world for what we truly seek, which is our own eternal home,
Yeah.
where death is impossible and life is eternal and blessing is infinite.
Well, that's the beauty of this, Teddy, is that the more we choose to see that there is only one thing for us to see, the grace and the holiness of the divine everywhere we look, no matter what, the more we feel and know it within ourselves. And that's why I love that quote from Catherine so much. Maybe she was one of those Genovese sort of people. She was so hard-headed. She was choosing to see only in one way. She was only choosing to see the face of God in all its distressing disguises, and in doing so, she knew it within herself. The deepest me is God. Imagine her just running through the streets of Genoa, screaming this at the top of her lungs, because she was so engaged in this experience. There's no way someone would do something like that just because they have the intellectual insight that they're the same as the grace of God. They would never do such a thing. But when you're fully engaged in that experience, of course, there's nothing else to do but to let that light shine. The peace of God is shining in me right now. That's all she was saying. She was running through the streets singing that song that we've been singing here every day. And as you said, Teddy, there comes a point where there is a sufficiency of grace where the experience must overwhelm us. It must explode within us, because that experience of being one with God, one with all, one with love itself, that experience is the only thing that's real. It literally is the only thing that is real. And if we seek only what is real, there is a sufficiency. There's a point where the tank is so full and overflowing that we have to literally pop into that experience. There is a moment in which you literally almost like snapping your fingers, you pop into the experience and you look around and say, "Are you kidding me? Has this always been here? Has it always been this simple?" Yes, it really has. Anything
It
else you guys
almost
want to
becomes,
share? How about you, Lisa?
You know what
Anything
else?
else? I'm sorry, go ahead,
Vicky's
Vicky.
just saying.
I was just gonna say, what a a delightful form of forgiveness this is. You know how Jesus over and over, he says, just forgive the appearances. And as a byproduct of focusing on that light, on the spark, and looking for that everywhere, then it's an automatic, natural next thing that forgiving all appearances becomes effortless. So what an effortless way to forgive the world that we think we made up, and forgive ourselves for thinking we made it up and trying to figure any of it out by just seeing past it and through it to the light that is truly there, to the energy, to the frequency, to the resonance of love. That's really the bottom line that's universal. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Lisa.
All else does not exist. That's what it is. That all else does not exist. It's only an illusion. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let what isn't real just go. Let it slide back into the illusion it's always been.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you, Lisa. What a great way to start off our morning, celebrating this experience of oneness. The deepest me is God. Now we're going to turn over to David at Namaste and all of our dear beloveds at Namaste Village. So, David, I'd love to hear what you want to share about this.
Oh, what beautiful, beautiful thoughts. They touch me so deeply. And what happens is I want to hang on to them. The feeling of that peace of God, when that feeling comes over us and it lifts us and it fills us. And then I turn around and I realize, oh, I've started to think about this thought and that thought, and my mind starts to do its mind things. And we've got a statement from the Course up there on the board in the back that says, "Let me be still and listen to the truth." And I realize that's what lets me hold on to it. That's what lets me walk out of here. There's a place where these beautiful feelings and thoughts can come together. I can take them and bring them so that they seem to be centered in my heart. I can feel it all there, even the part of me that wants to say, yeah, but what about, and that strange thing that the mind needs to do. And there I can feel that peace. And what happens is there's a feeling I can go to that lets me hold it. One of the beautiful names for that feeling is ease. With that gentleness, with that stillness, with that nurture and care, I can treasure these beautiful things that we've been sharing. I can hold that feeling, and I'm in the feeling, and my mind is quieted by the power of that feeling. So I can be there. I can be in that peace. And when I look out and I see someone else, I see that peace, that light, that beauty, that presence in them as well. But it lets me stay in that world of feeling, because I don't know about you, but my mind can just sing and dance and argue and do its thing all the time. But that feeling, the feeling within my heart, holding these beautiful ideas, holding these moments, holding them in that ease, that gentleness of that divine peace, holding them there lets me touch, express, know that peace of God. And that's what I treasure, that knowing, that beautiful moment. So what a joy to be here and bring all of you into this place of ease, into this gentle center in my heart, where we can just be the oneness that we are. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, brother. I love that you brought the word ease into this. Ease is just another way of saying it's easy. It's easy to be who you've always been. It's easy to shine with the light that has always been within you. We make it hard, we make this difficult, but it really is quite easy when we accept that. Oh, sometimes we say, oh, it's simple, but it's not easy. No, it's easy. All you need to do is to make the choice. All you need to do is to begin to let your light shine. And the way that you let your light shine is by choosing to see it everywhere. And that's why this little practice of just going around today and at least 100 times today, looking at anyone you pass or think of or see on your computer screen, whatever it may be, and blessing them. You are the holy, perfect child of God. You're going to feel that gift immediately return to you because you're only giving this to yourself, as Teddy said. There's only you to give to or to receive. And this may sound just like an intellectual idea, but I promise you it's the truth. It is in giving that we receive. It is in loving that we are loved. And if we let it be that easy, then we realize it's always been that easy. And the first thought you're going to think is, why did I make this more complicated than it needed to be? All I needed to do is to relax into the ease of grace and let it just fall in all around me. It's like just falling back into the water and floating. It's time for us to float now in this effortless grace. So thank you, David. Thank you, everyone there at Namaste Village. I don't know if there's anyone there at Namaste Village that would love to say anything, but if there is, feel free just to come up and pop up to David's side and you can share something. And otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, is someone coming up?
Yes, Betty's here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Betty.
I would just like to say a very hi. I'd just like to say a very special thank you to a gentleman who owns a coffee shop very close to here by the name of Ross. I think it's called the Gluten-Free Coffee Shop. And he has so very kindly donated, I think, 500 tamales to St. Pedro this morning. They're being delivered. And I just think he deserves all of our support. He's a guy from New Jersey. He's lived here for a number of years. He's married to a Mexican lady. And I first met him about 2 months ago, and he and I talked for about 2 hours. He's also a great artist. It's a great place for good cappuccinos and good pizza and good cupcakes. So I would just say a big shout out to Ross for what he's done and given his service, because he's having a tough time during this whole pandemic, and support him. So thank you.
Well, this is just another great example of what happens when you enter into this effortless grace. You just want to give it away. You want to share it. Like this gentleman that Betty just mentioned. It's just automatic. You want to give it away because you realize that the only way for you to hold on to this is to give it away. That makes no sense intellectually. Intellectually, if I give you $1, I've lost $1. But if I give you everything, I have gained everything. And the only question is, why would you want more than everything? How could you possibly want more than anything? It is the only thing you want. That is the ground through which this experience that we speak of breaks free. It breaks through the earth and begins to sprout and to bear good fruit. So this is our only job, is to give everything. Like this person that Betty just mentioned, who hears and responds to a need. In this case, San Pedro. He heard what was going on and what needed to happen at this village, and he began to just to give from the goodness of his heart. That's what this is all about. So now we have to go out and live this, and to see this, and to vibrate with the holy vibration of God.